Many of us have jobs that require long, demanding days standing on our feet. Whether you're a medical professional, a stylist, a teacher, make deliveries, or you're planning for a 12-hour day in a theme park. Whatever your reason is, this is my list of top shoes for spending long days on your feet. And nothing else matters for this list other than to keep those dogs from barking at the end of the day. And you know what I'm talking about. For this list, we don't care how the shoe looks, how great it is to run in, or whether or not it's the fashionable thing. We care about two things, and that's walking and standing. Now is a good time to acknowledge that we're all different and may find different things comfortable. But when I think of tackling this type of strenuous on-foot day, I personally think of cushion. Now, you may think of flip-flops, and hey, that's cool, you do you. And this might not be the video for you, and hey, that's all good too. There can be a lot of contributing factors as to why a shoe works for long days on your feet or it doesn't. So we're going to talk about why I think these shoes work, what the contributing factors are, and of course, no shoe is perfect. So I'm going to talk about what I don't like about each shoe and why you might want to consider the alternatives. There's 6 shoes on this list, starting with, if you watch this channel, a shoe that seemingly ends up on all my lists, the Adidas Ultra Boost 1.0. Now, why do the Adidas Ultra Boost 1.0 work for long days on your feet? And the first word that comes to mind is pliability, and that includes the ability to flex your toes kind of like this. The Adidas Ultra Boost 1.0 aren't like any other shoe on this list. They have a sock-like upper, which combined with the Adidas Boost Foam shoe sole gives you one of the most bendy and flexible all-around shoes. And still, the Ultra Boost offer a good amount of cushion. And now to the bad. While the Adidas Ultra Boosts are great, and I'd absolutely be willing for the challenge of a long day while wearing them, they are just not going to offer the most underfoot cushion. And don't get me wrong, the cushion is great, but there are going to be softer options out there. So something to at least consider. For the number 5 spot on my list, the New Balance Rebel V4s. These are some of my favorite overall shoes. And why do they work for long days on your feet? 2 things in my opinion. They're soft and they're light. The Rebel V4 Fuel Cell shoe sole, it's like a tongue twister. The Rebel V4 Fuel Cell shoe sole is super soft and is one of the softest shoe soles in my collection. Additionally, with my shoe size 11 weighing in at just 8.1 ounces, they're probably the lightest running shoe I own. This combination makes the Rebel V4s a great option in my opinion for long days on your feet. So what's the downside? The Rebel V4s are designed with a bit of a rocker and has a thicker shoe sole in the midfoot area. And to me, this just feels kind of unique for standing. To me, it feels kind of like standing on a bubble. It's not really a bad thing, but just unique feeling. And I can get over it, honestly, because I really like the feel of the Rebel V4 shoe soles. They're soft and fun to walk in. Now for the number 4 on my list, and we have the Hoka Bondi. The Bondi are like the Lincoln Town Car of Hokas. They have a thick shoe sole, which in my opinion offers a smooth ride while walking. The Hokas don't have much of a heel to toe drop either, which I think makes them nice for standing. I feel like the Hoka Bondi are really stable for me, and I really like them for all types of athletic activities, including walking. So what's the downside here? There's no denying the Hoka Bondi are a clunky shoe. And although I feel that they're pretty plush, for all of the shoe sole's thickness, I feel there's softer options available. And one of the things I value most when it comes to long days on your feet is that underfoot cushion that can also be referred to as a pillow-like softness. Still, the Bondi are great and I could def rock with them for a theme park day. In the number 3 position, I have the On Cloud Monsters. I feel like there's so many shoes from On that I could have selected, and no matter which one that I did select, they'd still be in the number 3 spot. I really also like the Cloud Eclipse and the Cloud Surfers. But officially, we're going with the Cloud Monsters because I think that they're the softest of the group. The Cloud Monsters have a thicker shoe sole, which is uniquely soft and still very light, especially considering the overall height of the shoe stack. So, what's the downside here? Well, I'm not really sure, other than the fact that you might not like shoe soles that kind of resemble Swiss cheese. But otherwise, they're just not perfect, and they're still shoes that I like better. So rather than force a downside, we're just gonna move on. On to number 2. And we have the Nike Invincible 3s. Now, I've tackled some monster days in my Invincible 3s, and this shoe just works for me over the course of a lot of steps. And I gotta tell you, when it comes to my top 3, it's just so close, and it was really hard to decide. Now, why do the Nike Invincible 3s work for long days on your feet? And that's an easy one. It's the Nike Zoom X shoe sole, which I think may be the softest shoe sole in my collection, in competition with the New Balance Rebel V4. So, what's the downside here? While I feel that the Invincible 3s are soft, I also feel they're simultaneously kind of stiff, and the lockdown from the upper is kind of harsh, which doesn't allow for a lot of flexibility of the foot. I also have to note, it's the same stiffness which helps the shoe work over a long period of time, because your foot is just not very stressed. And at the end of the day, even though I think the Invincible 3s work great, I'm always really happy to take them off. Now, before we get to number 1 on this list, this is just a reminder that, hey, everyone is different, and this is my list for best shoes for long days on your feet. None of these companies are paying me or anything like that, and I only make these suggestions because I feel like these are all really great shoes, and the recommendations may be helpful for a lot of people. Now, hey, if you want to help me out, just do me a huge solid and hit that like button right there. Go ahead, doesn't cost anything. On to our number 1 selection, and we have the New Balance More V5. If the Hoka Bondi are a town car, then the More V5s are the Cadillac Escalade of New Balance. And these shoes, they got a fat ass shoe stack. And guys, if you want to add a couple inches to your height for a date or something, let me tell you, this is the shoe. No lifts needed. Of course, you're gonna have to explain why you're 2 inches shorter when you take them off. But that's not why they work for long days on your feet. The New Balance More V5 provide a hugely thick layer of soft foam underfoot, which is still relatively light, especially considering the shoe's size. These things just provide for a plush walking and standing experience, period. And they smooth out walking over almost any terrain. So, what's the downside here? And that's that they're just some big ass clog stompers. Regardless of the weight, that's just a whole lot of shoe to carry around, and a lot of separation between your foot and the ground. Rhyme not intended. Also, the upper is kind of tight, and they suffer from some of the same flexibility issues as the Nike Invincible 3. But still, I feel like the New Balance More V5 are a great option for long days on your feet, and they're the first shoe that I'm grabbing for a 12-hour day on foot. Hey, thanks so much for joining me, hanging out with me for a few minutes. Until the next one, fitness and beer. Hey, get out of here.